In 1984, a low-budget science fiction film quietly entered theaters. No one expected it to redefine action cinema forever. That film was The Terminator. Directed by a young and ambitious James Cameron, the movie was born not in a studio, but in a nightmare. Cameron once dreamed of a metal skeleton emerging from flames, unstoppable, emotionless, hunting its target. That terrifying vision became the foundation of one of the most iconic villains in film history. Yet, at the time, Cameron was far from the Hollywood giant he would later become. He had just been fired from a previous project, and he was struggling to prove himself. With little money and limited resources, he teamed up with producer Gail Ann Hurd. In fact, legend says he sold her the script for just $1, on the condition that he would direct the film. The budget? Around $6.4 million. Even for the 1980s, that was modest for a sci-fi action movie. Because of this, the production had to rely heavily on creativity instead of money. Casting the Terminator was another unexpected twist. Initially, Arnold Schwarzenegger was considered for the role of Kyle Reese, the human resistance fighter. But Cameron saw something else in him. Arnold's physical presence, his rigid movements, and his almost mechanical speech made him perfect for the killing machine instead. One of cinema's most iconic casting decisions was made. Interestingly, Arnold only had about 17 lines in the entire film. Yet his performance became unforgettable. The cold stare, the calculated movements, the sense that this was not a man, but something far more dangerous. Meanwhile, Linda Hamilton was cast as Sarah Connor, a seemingly ordinary woman destined for an extraordinary future. Her transformation throughout the film, from vulnerable waitress to survivor, became one of the emotional cores of the story. Filming itself was anything but easy. Because of the tight budget, many scenes had to be shot guerrilla style, often without permits. The crew would quickly film scenes on the streets of Los Angeles and leave before authorities could intervene. Some scenes were even shot with minimal lighting, using practical locations to save money. But the real challenge came with the visual effects. Remember, this was long before CGI became mainstream. To bring the Terminator to life, the filmmakers relied on practical effects, stop-motion animation, and clever editing. The endoskeleton scenes, the metal robot revealed beneath human flesh, were created using detailed miniatures and puppetry. These effects were groundbreaking at the time, and still hold a certain raw realism even today. One of the most famous sequences, the final factory chase, required a combination of full-scale props, animatronics, and stop-motion techniques. Each frame was carefully crafted, sometimes taking hours just to produce a few seconds of footage. It was slow, painstaking work, but it paid off. Another interesting detail, because of budget limitations, the iconic future war scenes were extremely brief, yet their dark, apocalyptic imagery left a lasting impression, hinting at a much larger world beyond what we see. And then there's the music. Composed by Brad Fiedel, the score used synthetic beats to create a mechanical, relentless rhythm. The now famous theme feels like the heartbeat of a machine, cold, unstoppable, and inevitable. When the film was finally released, expectations were modest, but audiences were captivated. The mix of science fiction, horror, and action, combined with its intense pacing, made it stand out immediately. Critics praised its originality, its direction, and its bold vision. What started as a small, risky project became a massive success. The Terminator didn't just launch a franchise, it launched careers. It turned Arnold Schwarzenegger into a global superstar and cemented James Cameron as one of the most visionary filmmakers of his generation. But perhaps the most remarkable part of its story is how it proved that limitations can fuel creativity. With a small budget, a bold idea, and relentless determination, a group of filmmakers created something timeless. Even decades later, the legacy of the Terminator lives on, not just as a film, but as a reminder that sometimes the greatest stories are born from the simplest beginnings.